Mama, the 81-year-old with throat cancer, has a home. We're going to look at the Collierville man, the contractor building it for her, why he's doing it. An awesome story in South Memphis right now. We're also going to talk about the University of Memphis sports, the football team starting their season coming up. We're going to look at the state of the Tigers and why I believe this year is the biggest year in school history for the athletic program. But first, we're going to talk about the biggest question and talking point in this city right now, and that is what to do about the crime in Memphis. All next on WREG's Talking in Memphis. Over the weekend, my best friend came to town. He drove from Nashville 3 hours to see me. We went immediately to get some dinner at my favorite place in the city, actually, Catherine and Mary's downtown at South Main. And 45 minutes into the dinner, we got the salad, the fried matzah going, and a bottle of red wine. He asked me, Harry, you've been in Memphis for 5 months. What do you think? And I told him, listen, man, let me think on it for a second. And I kind of thought about it over the dinner. And it was really in the back of my mind. And I've lived in so many different places. I've lived in Minneapolis, Minnesota, where I'm from. I went to college in Phoenix, Arizona. I lived in Las Vegas. I then lived in Morgantown, West Virginia. I really have seen the entire country. But I thought about it, and I told him, listen, man, I think Memphis is the best place I've ever lived. It's affordable. It's walkable. The food's great. It seems that every weekend there's always something to do. But I told him, I really live a kind of a fascinating life here because 10 out of the 24 hours of the day, I'm reporting on the news. And 90% of the stuff I'm reporting on are murders and crime. And it's not just crime. It is horrific crime. It is horrific murders. It's people being set on fire. I had a 2-week stretch, or a week stretch actually, where I had 2 people burned alive in the span of 5 days. I mean, the crime here isn't just bad. It's the worst I've ever seen. And that's what puts Memphis in such a unique position, because the city, like I told him at dinner, is the best I've ever been in. But the crime is without a doubt the worst. And I think months after Kash Patel has called the city the murder capital of America, not the best thing to be called, you've seen a lot of people have strong responses. Even you go on TikTok, you see a lot of young people have showcasing the best parts of the city. And they're all great. Tom Lee Park, the farmers markets, all the great restaurants across the city. But it really is, it's a kind of a juxtaposition, because you have this great city, but the crime here is a problem. And even in the hottest areas of the city, you look at Overton Park, we had TJ Mulligan's close a few months ago because of a shooting there. You have the South Main area where Catherine and Mary's is, where Good Fusion is, which is about the toughest reservation in the city right now for dinner, the Orpheum Theater. That South Main area, which has great downtown townhomes, really nice real estate, just an awesome area, saw 4 armed robberies over the weekend. 4 people, all different scenarios. One coming back from Catherine and Mary's, actually, gun to their head, give me your phones. 2 guys in hoodies, they were not caught, and they went on a string of armed robberies in the South Main area. Again, which I would really consider arguably the hottest area in the city right now. And these guys went on really a rampage. The third spot they went to was the one that really kind of stuck out to me. They pointed a gun at a woman's head and said, give me your engagement ring. This is according to the police report. And they took a woman's $15,000 engagement ring. This is off Tennessee Street, nice area. And when you have that stuff happening in this city, 4 armed robberies in the hottest area of the city, and these guys just get away, how does that look? And I'm in no position right now, and I want to make this really clear here, to tell you what is causing this problem, how to fix that. But I do think the point of this conversation is to talk about the response. Because I really met a man in Midtown who kind of took me back with his words a few months ago, lived in Midtown for 20 years, and he told me he really had no idea what was causing this crime. Here's his clip.
I don't know how you address the crime problem. It's a poverty problem. People are poor, man, and they're struggling. And, you know, it just lends itself to crime.
And I think he's exactly right. You know, I'm not sure. And there's a lot of different things you can point to. It's probably a mixture of both on what is causing the crime in this city. But I think the response can be measured. And I'm not sure it is right now. I look at Niccolo Machiavelli's The Prince, probably the most influential book on leadership in the history of world literature. And the question in that book, the real dilemma, is for a leader, is it better to be feared or is it better to be loved? Because right now, and Machiavelli, by the way, argues that it's better to be feared. A lot of people disagree with that. But right now, the criminals in this city, with the crime that is going on every day, do not feel the fear at all, it seems. 4 armed robberies in the hottest area of the city over the weekend, and these guys just get away. Don't feel the fear. Look at the scene here in Frazier this past week as we saw a shooting that killed a rapper by the name of C Money. In the video you're about to see here, looks like it's something out of an action movie with the minutes of gunfire. I talked to a woman outside of that house, just a few houses over, told me it was like World War III. She got down, called 911, and I don't blame her. Scary situation there. And I really do feel, though, again, what's causing that is one thing, but the response should be measured because you have people really all over the place with how they respond to the crime right now. I mean, 201 Poplar saw jail protests, probably rightfully so, after a man there was stabbed an inmate 17 times. But you also have signs in the grass of a lot of these homes in Memphis that are asking to remove D.A. Mulroy for being too lenient on crime. Not saying that's the right opinion. It's just saying what I'm saying. You also have, and it really is a question, I think, in Memphis that you're seeing all over the world, actually, is I think world crime and the responses to it are more interesting than they've ever been. I think El Salvador and their young leader is someone I really kind of want to point to. Nayib Bukele, the 44-year-old leader of El Salvador. And El Salvador was dubbed a few years ago the homicide capital of the world. Memphis has been dubbed the homicide capital of America. El Salvador, the homicide capital of the world. And Nayib Bukele, this young, at the time, 37-year-old, gets elected in, and he has turned the country upside down, really. And he's done it at a heavy cost as the city has gone from the most dangerous country in the world to one of the safest. And he's basically thrown everyone in jail. The prisons are horrible. A lot of constitutional freedoms have been out the windows. He's thrown presidential term limits. They're gone. He has become essentially a dictator, but at the same time, every country in Central America is kind of modeling themselves after this guy that is feared. Like we just talked about with Machiavelli's dilemma. Is it better to be feared than loved? This guy's going fear, and it's working. But again, a lot of people are really bummed about it. And I'm not saying that approach would work in the United States. You know, frankly, it's probably far too extreme. But I do think you are seeing certain cities, even in this area, that do have more measured, harsher responses on crime. You look at South Haven right now, and you slip up for a second there. I mean, I covered the guy at the Sonic drive-thru with a stolen car. They were on him in a second in South Haven. Memphis, I'm not sure if we would have seen the same response. I mean, South Haven put everyone, they closed the streets down and got this guy. It's very strict. You speed, you go 10 miles over the speed limit, they're going to get you. And I'm not saying that type of policing would work, but I do think they know who they are in South Haven, whether you like it or not. And again, I think a lot of this crime, and I want to make this point really clear as I close this out here, what is causing the problems here as far as crime? It could be a myriad of different things. And as we heard from the clip earlier of the guy, I'm not sure, he says, what's causing the problems here. But I think this city really should focus on what is going to be the response. If it's either I'm going to be strict, I'm going to be feared, or if I'm going to be loved. Because we've seen it all over the place. We saw Operation Rolling Thunder, which was a response to Kash Patel's comments calling Memphis the homicide capital of America, where they made 100 plus arrests in 17 days, just mass arrests. We've seen that type of approach. Whether it works, whether it doesn't, I'm not here to judge that, but we've seen that heavy approach. But we've also seen something like we saw in South Maine over the weekend, where I went into a lot of businesses in that area who I'm not going to name because they didn't want me to, who say the police do nothing over there. We want more police. We want more police. The people are scared to come into the restaurants late at night. Multiple business owners told me that. We had a guy who had his car stolen at the airport. The police, for a fact, we know had the location, did nothing about it. So are we going to see this harsh response to the crime here, or are we going to see a lenient one? I'm not saying which one's right, but I do think the city should come out and pick a side to follow, because if you don't pick one, you're going nowhere.